Freddy Krueger, one of, if not the most iconic slasher villain of all time, has seen many different versions of his character across the movies, and today I'm going to rank them from weakest to strongest. I'm going to assess Freddy from each movie in order of release and go over his strengths and weaknesses. So, spoiler alert for those that haven't seen the movies. And let me just state, this is a ranking of which Freddy is most dangerous, not a ranking of my favourite Freddy from worst to best, as trust me, that would be a much different list. Again, this is just my opinion. Please don't eat my head like a piece of popcorn, and you're more than welcome to disagree with me and let me know how you'd rank the different versions of Freddy in the comments below. Let's begin with Nightmare 1 Freddy. He is by far one of the strongest versions of Freddy and the scariest by a landslide. Freddy in this first movie is an unstoppable force and seems to enjoy messing with his victims in a more twisted, dark and sinister way than any other Freddy. And it's through his psychological torment of Nancy that he is stopped, as he doesn't expect Nancy to pull him into the real world. He's caught off guard. Throughout the movie he displays great control over the dream world and he maniacally torments his victims before killing them, showing that he almost enjoys the build-up of killing his victims more than the kill itself. He revels in the fear that gives him power over his victims, and as I said, he is definitely the scariest version of Freddy in my mind. He kills 4 people in this first movie, all in sinister fashion, varying in brutality, with Tina's death by far being the most terrifying, being slashed and violently thrown around the room, and Glenn's being the goriest, having been turned into a geyser of blood after being pulled into his bed. Freddy is constantly playing with his victims, enjoying every moment of torment throughout the movie, but his attitude definitely sees a shift when he's pulled into the real world. He seems to be pissed off and angrier, which is quite understandable given the fact he's now vulnerable and has lost all power and control over the environment around him, and he does take a fair bit of damage at the hands of Nancy. But the cherry on top is when he's set on fire in the basement, which, as we could imagine, wouldn't be an enjoyable experience, especially given the fact that this will be the second time he's been set on fire. The tricky part is the ending of the movie, as it's left somewhat ambiguous. Freddy is beaten when Nancy finally chooses to simply ignore him, taking away any power he held over her. But then, in those final shots of the movie, it's as though he's still around. However, Nancy states in the third movie she beat him, so it's hard to say, but for the sake of the video, Freddy was beat through the power of ignorance. Nightmare 2 Freddy is a different kettle of fish entirely and will be one of 2 outliers in the list. As while he appears less powerful than he did in the first movie and somewhat weakened, he does have the power to possess Jesse and take over his body entirely in the real world, even being able to walk through portals of fire and kill people in the real world without the need to invade their dreams. But that's not as scary as the notion of being killed in a nightmare. It's as though Freddy is weakened to the point where he needs to possess Jesse and take over his body in the real world to kill people and spread fear so that he may go back to the dream world and invade their dreams. And a good support for this train of thought is in this line.
You are all my children now.
Freddy kills 11 people in this movie and causes the death of another through panic ensued by his killing spree. A lot of his kills are very much the same, either falling into pits of fire, falling into a pool of boiling water, or being slashed by Freddy's knives, which protrude out of the end of his fingers now instead of being on a glove. However, the best kill definitely has to go to Ron's, as Freddy shows off his strength in this scene by picking Ron up, pushing him against the door, and stabbing him hard enough that his knives actually go through him and out the other end of the door behind him. He spends most of his time tormenting Jesse without the pursuit of killing him, so as to be powerful enough to take over his body, as I mentioned before, and he's seemingly able to shift between the dream world and reality, between Jesse's dreams and his body. But in the end, he's defeated with the power of love until he comes back and kills Carrie, Lisa and Jesse. But again, the ending's ambiguous here and we're not entirely sure if this actually happened or not. But let's assume it did, given the fact it helps us segue into the Nightmare 3 Freddy. But just before that, I'm going to place Nightmare 1 Freddy in the lead for right now in front of Nightmare 2 Freddy. Nightmare 3 Freddy kicks things into gear, being a complete powerhouse in terms of control over the dream world and being able to manipulate everything around him. He doesn't just appear in his victims' dreams, he crafts them, twisting their dreams to reflect his victims' deepest fears and vulnerabilities. While Nightmare 1 Freddy could do this to some degree, Nightmare 3 Freddy is a master of dream manipulation, showcasing all throughout the movie his unparalleled ability to mold and control the dreamscape with an iron fist. Freddy's creativity reaches new heights. His kills are elaborate, theatrical, and often darkly humorous. He transforms into a real puppet master, pulling the strings of his victims' nightmares with sadistic glee. Nightmare 3 elevated Freddy from a simple supernatural slasher to a supernatural force of nightmare terror. The combination of his enhanced powers, twisted creativity, and psychological prowess make him a truly formidable opponent, especially given the fact his victims obtain the ability to partial control of their dreams and transform themselves into stronger, more durable versions of who they are in reality. Freddy kills 6 people in this movie and is at a level so powerful that he's able to control the dream world of multiple victims at a time while taking control of his skeleton in real world. And although he is beat by the end, having his bones purified and being stabbed with his own glove, there's no denying just how powerful Nightmare 3 Freddy is. I think it's fair to say while Nightmare 1 Freddy is the scariest, he is beat by Nightmare 3 Freddy in terms of strength. On to Nightmare 4 Freddy. While his strength seems dialed down a notch, his dark comical humour is dialed up, and the manner in which he kills his victims is truly terrifying. I mean, goddamn, the Roach Motel kill is definitely one of the most messed up kills in the series. Could you just imagine falling asleep and seeing this creepy one-liner obsessed bitch calling maniac force your body to pull a Cronenberg and start falling apart to turn into a cockroach and then get squished? Ugh, man, it just gets me every time. And then there's Sheila's death, being sucked dry to the point you're nothing but skin. To some that may sound appealing, but I can assure you from my own personal experience, it's not. He's beat by being shown his own reflection and is ripped apart from the inside out. While Nightmare 4 Freddy continues to be twisted and creative with his dream manipulation and kills, he falls slightly short, and I don't see him beating Nightmare 3 Freddy. So let's move on. Nightmare 5 Freddy. What can I say about him? He kills 3 people in this movie, and he's even goofier than before. Ultimately, there's not a lot I can say about Nightmare 5 Freddy. He turns into Super Freddy, which is just stupid, and I guess the dinner table kill is somewhat messed up and kind of creative, and turning down onto his motorcycle is kind of cool even though he's killed by a crash, but that paper kill is just beyond ridiculous. The fact he only kills 3 people and is beaten by... I don't even know how to describe this. I'm simply lost for words here. He just might be the worst Freddy in terms of strength. What an undergod were they thinking here? I mean, I just don't like this version of Freddy at all, so let's just move on. While I'm not a fan of Nightmare 5 Freddy, I am a huge fan of Final Nightmare Freddy. I know, big shock, right? But here's the thing, this movie is a guilty pleasure of mine. And believe me, I'll be the first to tell you just how awful this movie is, and how stupid and ridiculous Freddy gets here. But the thing is, it's so bad that it's good to me. I can remove my attachment from the rest of the movies and sit back and enjoy how silly and stupid Freddy gets in this movie. I used to hate everything about this movie, but rewatching it with a different frame of mind gave me some newfound appreciation for it. But enough about the movie and more about Freddy. As I mentioned, Freddy has become a full-on Looney Tunes character and has transformed from a terrifying nightmare stalker into a wisecracking cartoon villain. He's no longer Freddy Krueger, a more satirical parody of Freddy Krueger. Again, he only kills 3 people in this movie, but the deaths, although kind of stupid, are somewhat better than those in 5. Between that and the way Freddy is killed in the end, which is just amazing, it's so stupid and I love it, well, he's above Nightmare 5 Freddy, but not near the top of the list. Nightmare 3 Freddy is still in first place. New Nightmare Freddy, also known as the Evil Entity, is the second outlier in the list, and perhaps the most difficult to piece together. While this is a much different version of Freddy, it's somewhat of a return to form. However, this isn't really Freddy, as it's a demonic evil entity taking on the form of Freddy. He displays a strong hold of control and power over his victims and pushes a lot of psychological horror, blurring the lines of what's real and what's not slightly more than any other Freddy. He kills 4 people, with Julie's death being a cool callback to Tina's, but ultimately he's confined to whatever Wes Craven writes, as that's a part of this version of Freddy. However, if we take that away for the sake of the video and take into account the fact that he was beat by Heather and Dylan in his lair, we've got a better idea of where to put him on the list. Having said that, he doesn't beat Nightmare 3 Freddy, so Nightmare 3 Freddy is still in the lead. Now then, moving on, we've got Freddy vs Jason's Freddy, and we've got some contradicting points to unpack here. At the start of the movie, he's so weak he has to resurrect Jason and have him do some killing in Elm Street to build up fear so he can return to killing. Eventually, he regains enough strength to invade dreams of his victims again, but not enough strength to kill them just yet. However, he is able to use this to build up more fear and as a result, more strength. He later starts to regret resurrecting Jason, as Jason won't stop killing and beats Freddy to the kills. But Freddy does kill Mark in a very twisted manner, taking the form of his brother whom Freddy killed years prior. Then Freddy uses some Nightmare 2 skill and possesses Freeburg with the Freddy pillar in order to get to Jason in reality so he can knock him out with some heavy drugs and invade his dream. Freddy has a strong hold over Jason in his dream world, playing pinball with his body and crushing him. However, Jason does briefly manage to get the upper hand on Freddy, but Freddy is able to delve deeper into Jason's mind through his fear of water, which is stupid by the way. I already mentioned this in my video on Jason, pretty good video, go watch it after this one. But yeah, Jason is not afraid of water. Freddy causes some serious damage to Jason in his dream, apparently near killing him. But Laurie intervenes and we get to see Freddy torment her for a while in the dream world, and he also takes on this pretty sick look when he gets super pissed at Laurie. Eventually Freddy is pulled from the dream world and we're treated to the main event fight in Freddy vs Jason. And to Freddy's credit here, he does manage to put up a pretty good fight against Jason, and he sustains a serious amount of mortal injuries that would be fatal to any normal person, but ultimately he gets his arm ripped off and impaled through his chest and gets decapitated with Jason's machete by Laurie. In conclusion, Freddy vs Jason, Freddy is definitely high on the list, but is he strong and durable enough to top it? Well, you'll find out at the ranking. Finally, we've got Remake Freddy, and he's played by Jackie Earle Haley instead of Robert Englund. I don't hate this Freddy, but I don't love him either. I mean, if the makeup was better along with the writing and how Jackie talked, I believe we could have got a pretty good Freddy. But it is what it is, and we got what we got. Now then, this version of Freddy is almost too serious, and when he tries to be humorous, it just comes off kinda cringy. He doesn't display a very creative grasp over the dream world, but he does seem to hold strong control over it and his victims. He kills a total of 5 people in this movie, and to be honest, none of them are that creative. They definitely look painful, but so do Freddy's kills in other movies. If I had to be honest with myself, I definitely wouldn't want to find myself in his boiler room, as he'd kill me in some intimate and gory way, but I still think I'd be a lot more afraid if it were one of the other Freddys on the list. In the end, he gets pulled into the real world and has his throat slit and he's set on fire before coming back to punch a hole through Gwen's head. Well, let's find out where he sits in the ranking. In 9th place, we've got Nightmare 5 Freddy. Ultimately, his kills aren't all that impressive, he's not really scary, and the way he's taken out at the end of the movie actually makes me want to throw up. In 8th place, we've got Final Nightmare Freddy. He's either going to make you laugh or cringe uncontrollably before murdering you, that is of course if you can't escape him. In 7th place, we've got New Nightmare Freddy / The Evil Entity. I could place him higher on the list if we knew a little more about him, but from what we've got, I'm happy to leave him right here. In 6th place, we've got Nightmare 2 Freddy. The thought of him tormenting me while I sleep and taking control and transforming my body when I'm awake is nightmare fuel. In 5th place, we've got Remake Freddy. The thought of being stuck in a dream with this guy while he lives out his disgusting fantasies before killing me very violently earns him this spot. In 4th place, we've got Nightmare 4 Freddy. I don't want him turning me into a cockroach and trapping me before squishing me. The thought of it still disgusts me. In 3rd place, we've got Freddy vs Jason Freddy. Hats off to him for being able to take on Jason Voorhees for as long as he did, and in my opinion he would have won that fight if it weren't for Rory. In 2nd place, we've got Nightmare 1 Freddy. As I mentioned before, I believe this is the scariest version of Freddy with a lot of power in the dream world. He would torment you over multiple nightmares before killing you in one of the most brutal and goriest ways you wouldn't be able to imagine. And in 1st place, to no surprise, we've got Nightmare 3 Freddy. The sheer control he holds over the dream world and his victims, the fact that he's invaded their dreams to the point they've been locked up in a mental hospital, and the creativity he has of each kill while still being scary but twisted enough to give you a one-liner before killing you is what lands him at the number 1 spot. Now then, I really enjoyed making this video, but I will say it was slightly more difficult than the Michael and Jason videos, just because Freddy operates within people's nightmares, but nonetheless I still thoroughly enjoyed making this video. If you've made it this far, thanks for watching, and let me know how you'd rank Freddy by strength in the comments below. And if you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to get a free old man and keep Freddy out of your dreams. Thanks for watching and have a great day. Now, I'm off to find a Freddy glove and play with myself.